Hello and welcome back to the Invitational here in Charlotte. I'm Nick Miller on the Sideboard alongside Tom the Boss Ross. How are you doing today?
How you doing, Nick?
Good to see you. You are playing a delightful deck that just caught my surprise, and I just had to do a deck tech with it because this is what aggro deck should be. And you have called it Boss Blitz. You have obviously had decks like Boss Sly and many other super aggressive decks. You're playing Infect to 4-0 in the Legacy, so it's only fitting you have another just super combo-y aggro deck, and you have red-green. All right, talk about the deck a little bit. You wrote about it on the select side, the Burning Tree, aggressive deck, but then you didn't really like Mutavault, and you didn't have some of the spiciness that we have here today. So, let's talk about the green cards like Skylasher and Fanatic of Xenagos, as well as like your theory behind the deck.
Yeah, it's much like a mono-red aggressive deck, except it has Gore Clan Rampager, Fanatic of Xenagos, and Armed Dangerous, and 4 Skylashers mainly. It plays a lot like a combo deck like Infect, where you make some high amount of power, then double it with Armed. But it's a deck choice based on how expected Esper was, and to some extent it's also good against mono black.
Talked with a lot of people today, and they're all expecting so much Esper. People you don't expect to be playing red are playing red today. So I think it was a pretty safe choice. So this deck has a bunch of 1-drops. You've got Rakdos Cackler, Fire Drinker Satyr, and a couple Legion Loyalists. Explain why you went with 2 of those in this deck.
They're still pretty good. They, along with pump spells, it's very hard for them to block. First Strike and Trample. They don't know which to block or how to block, but Gore Clan Rampager and Titan Strength makes any decision they make pretty bad for them.
With the blocking, is there a reason you don't like Firefish Striker? I've seen a lot of the all-in red decks kind of running that guy to screw up blocking. Is he your similar effect, or just, you don't really want the 2-drop guy like that?
It's similar, but these creatures are already difficult enough to block. Gore Clan and Fanatic of Xenagos both have Trample, which is evasion. Madcap skills also helps with evasion, and then I don't really care if they block, but I have Legion Loyalists. But it was between Firefish Striker and Skylasher for that main deck slot.
Now, you'd mentioned to me that Skylasher is great against, the blue decks, obviously. But the thing I didn't think about when I've seen, aggro decks include Skylasher in the main, is you said it frees up your sideboard so you don't have to have them in there.
Yeah.
That was just a crazy idea I hadn't, thought of, but it frees up your sideboard to just hedge against so many other matchups.
Yeah, I'm able to play more cards against a red-white burn deck because freed up 4 slots.
And now, the engine, obviously, you've got the Burning Tree Emissary to just explode onto the board with multiple creatures, multiple spells. I saw on camera against Eric Smith playing an Esper control deck, plays a Jace, pumps it up, and then you just kill him with a Fanatic of Xenagos, Armed Dangerous, and a Gore Clan. Just 9-power creature, pretty good.
It's usually 18, but 16 in that case, which was enough.
Now, talk about the use of Mutavault. Your article last week on the select side said sort of hurt your mana base and you weren't as consistent, but it looks like you've come back around to the Mutavault choice.
Yeah, I just added 2 Mutavaults, but instead of 2 spells, still kept the mana ratio the same. But it helps to not overcommit into a Supreme Verdict, and deck does have a lot of colorless mana symbols in it, more than like a mono red deck would.
Exactly. And you have, your only burn spell in the deck's Lightning Strike. You have a bunch more in the sideboard. Why this card over the other ones?
It's just the most efficient burn spell. Sometimes they get down to 3 or 6 or something, just need something to finish them off. And I have nothing to get rid of creatures main deck, so I'll try that.
Okay. And the 3 Madcap skills, just saying no to blockers pretty much, and Titan Strength. The scry effects you have in this deck, give this deck some more reach, I guess. Reach maybe not the correct word, but card selection, with Magma Jet, Titan Strength. Any crazy plays with Titan Strength in your testing or today?
Not really, but it does help to never get more than 4 or 5 lands that the scry effects from that and the Temple of Abandon.
Right.
Mostly it's just the combo with Armed Dangerous. Sometimes it saves the creature from a shock or a Freakish or something if they're playing that. It's not as good against Bob Light, which they're playing now, but it helps the 1-drops get through Sylvan Carrion if they block with that. It really sets them back. They think they can block for 3, but they can't.
What are the toughest matchups for a deck like this?
The burn decks, the ones that have cheap removal.
Just
like a ton of cheap removal.
Picking off all your creatures?
Yeah, if they kill all my creatures, then I'm stuck with Madcap skills and Titan Strengths and stuff.
Talk about your sideboard here. Obviously the Skylasher main board gives you so much room for all these burn spells. Skullcrack, Searing Blood, Shock, Magma Jet. Where do all of these guys come into play?
Well, the ones that do 2 damage are for mostly Red, White, Burn and other aggro deck. Against them, I want to try to play a more controlling game where my creatures are bigger. I end up casting Gold Clan Rampager a lot. If they leave themselves open, I can still combo them out. But the rest of them, the Skullcrack goes in against Esper and other slower decks, along with the Domri Raids. The deck plays 27 creatures in the main deck, so it hits a lot. Plus, it has some stride effects.
The Domri, you have an extra forest in the sideboard. I always love seeing just extra basic lands or a mutavault in the sideboard. Here you have the forest that comes in with your Domris. What all is Domri good against, and what's it replace in your deck when you switch it out, switch it in?
Usually some pump spells. Every deck brings in more removal. And they're planning to, shut me out of creatures and strand me with the pump spells in hand. But this attacks them from another angle. Pretty good card advantage. They're usually not worried about planeswalkers after game 1, but really it's a if they're not expecting it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, cutting the pump spells and bringing in like Domris, because usually in game 1 you kill them with some combination of the pump spells, which forces them to play around or play in fear of those pump spells, and then they're just not even there, so you're getting full value off of your extra cards and the fear of them playing around it.
Yeah.
Any suggestions for this deck if anyone wanted to pick it up? Any tweaks you've seen? You've only played with one round today, but in testing and going forward, I've seen a lot of people play similar decks. What would you suggest to them?
Going forward, I don't know. If Esper stays big, then this 75 is pretty good.
And what if
if there's less blue cards going around, then you can not play Skylasher. If there's more creatures to block with, you can go with Firefish Striker.
What about if Burn rises in popularity? How do you tweak this deck? You just cut the pump spells altogether, or
probably have to play a different creature than Fire Drinker Satyr. It's really bad against them, or really bad for me against them.
All right. Well, so far you're 5-0. There's 3 rounds of Standard left today. You're in pretty good position, I would say. And with this deck, not too many people have the tools to handle this just aggressive of a start. So this is a deck I'm excited to see, and I hope to see you tearing up the top tables the rest of the day. So for Tom Ross, I'm Nick Miller here in the sideboard. Stay tuned all weekend long for action here at SCG Invitational in Charlotte.